Every conspiracy begins with a question someone wasn't supposed to ask.
Oh, look up. On almost any day in almost any city, you will see them. White lines stretching across the sky behind aircraft. Some dissolve within seconds, others spread slowly, widening into thin clouds that linger for hours. You have seen them your entire life, and for most people, they are simply part of the sky, background, unremarkable. But for millions of people around the world, those lines are evidence of something deliberate, something hidden, something being done to the air we breathe without our knowledge or consent. They call them chemtrails. And the question worth asking, the same question we ask every episode, is not whether they're right. The question is why the sky became a place where conspiracy feels at home. It starts with something real. That's important. It always starts with something real. Aircraft do leave trails. The technical term is contrail, condensation trail. Hot exhaust from jet engines meets cold air at high altitude and freezes into ice crystals. Under certain atmospheric conditions, those crystals persist and spread. Under others, they dissolve almost immediately. This is documented. This is physics. This is not disputed by anyone with access to a meteorology textbook. But here is where it gets interesting. The variation is real. The same plane on different days leaves completely different trails. Sometimes nothing. Sometimes a line that fades in 30 seconds. Sometimes a trail that spreads across half the sky and stays there for hours. That variation is explainable. Humidity, temperature, altitude, aircraft type. These factors determine what you see. But if you don't know that, if nobody ever told you, the variation looks suspicious. It looks like something changed. It looks like something is being added. But to understand why the theory feels credible to so many people, you have to go further than a misread Air Force document. You have to go to San Francisco, 1950. For 6 days in September of that year, the United States Navy secretly sprayed the city with Serratia marcescens, a bacterium they believed to be harmless, to test how a biological weapon might spread through an urban population. Nobody asked the residents of San Francisco. At least one person died, others fell ill. The operation was classified for decades. It was called Operation Sea Spray. It was real, it was confirmed, it was apologized for. And it was not the only one. Operation LAC in the 1950s dispersed zinc-cadmium sulfide particles over American cities. Project 112 tested chemical and biological agents on military personnel without full informed consent. The Church Committee in 1975 revealed that the CIA had conducted human experimentation programs, including MK-Ultra, on unwitting subjects for years. This is not conspiracy theory. This is congressional testimony. This is declassified documentation. This is history, and it is the foundation on which chemtrail belief is built, not on ignorance, on memory. When someone asks, would your government spray something into the air without telling you, the honest answer is not no. The honest answer is, it already did. The theory has a specific shape. Chemtrail believers don't all agree on the details. They rarely do. This is true of most conspiracy communities. But the emotional core is consistent. Governments, corporations, or some combination of both are deliberately spraying chemical or biological agents into the atmosphere. The purposes vary depending on who you ask. Population control, weather modification, mass medication, military experimentation, or simply profit for the companies that produce the chemicals. What unites the variations is the structure. Something is being done to you, without your knowledge, by people with power over your life, and the institutions that should protect you are either complicit or incapable of stopping it. That structure will sound familiar. It's the same structure as Flat Earth, the same structure as QAnon, different content, same architecture. Why the sky specifically? This is the question that most debunking efforts never ask. Why not the water? Why not the food? Why not the radio waves, which are genuinely invisible and genuinely everywhere? Why the sky? The answer, I think, is visibility. The sky is the one environment that everyone shares equally, rich or poor, urban or rural, young or old. We all look at the same sky. It is the last genuinely common space, and it is a space we have almost no control over. We can filter our water, we can choose our food, we can turn off our phones, we cannot close the sky. Chemtrails tap into something very old, the human instinct that the air itself can be corrupted, that what we breathe, the most involuntary of all human acts, can be turned against us. That is a profound violation of bodily autonomy, and the feeling of that violation doesn't require the theory to be true. The feeling is doing its own work. It has been around longer than you think. The chemtrail theory didn't begin with the internet, though the internet gave it scale. Its roots go back to the 1990s, when increased commercial air traffic made contrails more visible over populated areas. A 1996 United States Air Force research paper titled Weather as a Force Multiplier, which explored theoretical future military weather modification, was widely misread as a confession of current activity. It wasn't, but the misreading spread faster than the correction. It always does. By the late 1990s, chemtrail communities existed on early internet forums. By the 2000s, they had migrated to YouTube. By the 2010s, they had merged with broader anti-establishment movements, anti-vaccine communities, sovereign citizen networks, QAnon-adjacent spaces. The theory didn't stay still. It absorbed. It adapted. It connected itself to whatever else was already there, the scientists who tried to answer it. In 2016, a group of researchers at the University of California, Irvine, conducted a survey of atmospheric scientists, 77 experts in the field most directly relevant to chemtrail claims. 76 out of 77 said, there was no evidence of a secret large-scale atmospheric spraying program. The remaining one said the evidence was unresolved. The study was published. It was reported. It made almost no difference to the chemtrail community. This is not stupidity. This is the same mechanism we identified with Flat Earth and QAnon. Once the interpretive framework is in place, once you believe that institutions are coordinating a deception, scientific consensus becomes evidence of the conspiracy, not evidence against it. The more experts say it isn't happening, the more it confirms that the experts are in on it. This is the closed loop that makes conspiracy thinking so resistant to outside intervention. You cannot fact-check your way out of a framework that has already absorbed fact-checking as part of the deception. The chemtrail theory has found particularly strong roots in German-speaking countries. A 2011 survey conducted by the University of Rostock found that approximately 3% of Germans believe chemtrails were real. A small number in percentage terms, but significant in absolute scale for a country of 80 million people. More significantly, chemtrail belief in Germany became entangled with specific political anxieties: distrust of NATO, of American military presence, of pharmaceutical companies, of European Union technocracy. The theory absorbed the existing fault lines of German political culture and made them its own. During the COVID pandemic, chemtrail communities provided ready infrastructure for new conspiracy claims. The same networks, the same interpretive frameworks now applied to vaccines and lockdowns. Querdenken and chemtrail communities overlapped significantly. The faces were often the same. The emotional logic was always the same. What geoengineering actually is, here is where it becomes genuinely complicated. Because weather modification is not only a conspiracy theory, it is also a legitimate field of scientific research. Cloud seeding, the deliberate introduction of particles into clouds to encourage rainfall, has been practiced since the 1940s. China operates the world's largest cloud seeding program. The United Arab Emirates uses it regularly. Several American states have experimented with it for drought relief. And in recent years, as climate change accelerates, a more controversial proposal has gained serious scientific attention: stratospheric aerosol injection, the deliberate release of reflective particles into the upper atmosphere to reduce solar radiation and slow global warming. This is real research, conducted by real scientists at real universities, funded by real institutions. It has not been implemented at scale, but it is being discussed seriously at the highest levels of climate science. The chemtrail community knows this, and for them, it confirms everything. The distance between what they feared and what scientists are now openly proposing has collapsed. This is the uncomfortable truth that sits at the center of the chemtrail debate. Not that the conspiracy theorists were right, but that the legitimate science moved toward territory they had already occupied. And that proximity is worth taking seriously. The pattern holds. Chemtrails, like flat Earth, like QAnon, are not primarily about what they claim to be about. They are about visibility, about the feeling of being acted upon by forces you cannot see, cannot control, and cannot hold accountable. They are about the sky, the last common space, becoming a place where that feeling lives. And they are about the institutions that should answer that feeling with transparency, with engagement, with genuine accountability, choosing instead to dismiss, to mock, to debunk, without ever asking why the feeling exists in the first place. Something is in the air, not chemicals, not conspiracies. A question that keeps not getting answered